And welcome to the Nug Life Podcast. And I am your host, Dan Weston. I am here alone, but only temporarily. Unfortunately, Santiago is having some issues with the internet and service he had at the location he was at. He is now headed to a different location, his home, so that way he can get on Wi-Fi and go ahead and join us. He'll probably join us somewhere about halfway through the show. So until then, you're just stuck with me, but we will have a second voice to go ahead and jump up in all this here in just a short while. So let's go ahead and jump in. We will go over the Nuggets and their week one preview. Will probably be what we get through by the time Santiago gets here, and then we'll have him for the preview of the upcoming games this upcoming week. So first off, the Nuggets blew their opener against the Jazz. Oh, this is, I don't know what I'm thinking. Sorry. So much going on today, guys. I apologize. I'm going to get it together. But yes, Nuggets blow opener to the Jazz. How did the Nuggets allow the Jazz a 20-plus point win? It was easily seen just in the rebound totals. It was insane. In the first half, the Jazz had a player. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head right now, but they had a player that was out there and had 11 rebounds in his first 11 minutes on the floor. In the first 40 minutes of basketball, the Nuggets had 10 total rebounds as a team. That, my friends, is never going to get it done. Now, it was nice to see Aaron Gordon get a double-double. He was the second leading scorer on the team, but can the Nuggets be a contender consistently if AG is the best player on the court? No. And that's another big reason why they were able to get blown out by 20 points by the Jazz in their opener. And yes, the Jazz are 2-0, and you can say whatever you want about them being better than expectations. This is still a squad that should not have ever blown out the Nuggets by 20-plus points. That is unacceptable. A loss, it is what it is, especially on their home court. It is what it is. I really wouldn't have concentrated too much about it. If it was a close loss, they lost in the last couple seconds, might have, like a sloppy turnover, something like that might have happened in, last couple minutes. Probably wouldn't have been as consternated. But the fact that that wasn't the case and they still lost by 20-plus points, that was a bit concerning and a little bit of an eye-opener. And they had Jamal on the floor for this game, which was the most insane thing about it, is that once they took him off the floor for the second one, we'll talk about here in a minute, the team looked completely different. And so I'm not going to be the guy that's like, forcing Jamal out there messed with the chemistry of this team. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. And those at 104.3 and other places that should not be named at this point that want to say so, you're full of it. Shut up and stop. Do some research and actually learn the teams that you're talking about. But the other big thing that stood out, besides the rebounding, besides AG, who, no knock on the man, great player, borderline superstar, but he is not the superstar of this team. He was the superstar of the Magic, which is why they were never able to be a contender, let alone consistently. He is in a perfect place. He needs to fit in that role, fit in that lane, and he does that perfectly. It's the guys around him that got to step it up. And that is the fact that the bench only had 3 players score in this game. Bones was the only one in double digits, and he barely made it there with 10 points. So, how crucial will the Nuggets be to their success is a question we've asked over and over and over. We got our answer in game 1. Absolutely critical. No matter how good Jokic, Murray, MPJ, and Gordon are, they need a supporting cast to score points and stop the other team when they're not on the court. They can't play the entire game. Nobody can play the entire game. There's been a lot that have tried and they paid for it. You see it in the playoffs where they get a lot more, and you see how grueling a game like this is, where it's just constant, fast-paced action, barely any breaks in between. It gets to even the best conditioned athletes in the world. And so expecting those 4 guys to carry the load 100% of the time is just not realistic, guys. They have to have a bench that does something. They don't need a great bench. They don't need the greatest bench to have ever been made in NBA history. They just need an above average bench that's going to get some stops and score some points. If that's all that you need, it shouldn't be hard to find that. And the talent that is on the Nuggets bench should be more than enough to give that much. So, Nuggets bench really needs to step it up on a nightly basis to ensure that situations like the Jazz game do not happen again. Bones has to be busy. Christian Brown and Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan all have to be on point when they're on the court. There is no exceptions. There is no letdowns. You can't. Especially against a team like the Jazz, which just got completely torn apart in the offseason and is really tanking for a lottery pick this year. But the players on the court just aren't allowing it at the beginning. They are going to regress more to the mean. This is not a contender. If they end up getting a middle of the pack pick in this year's draft, they failed. The players haven't failed, but the front office has failed. I give all the credit in the world to the Jazz players. They came out, they believed, they fought, and they've won. So more power to them. But I just don't see how they can sustain that success and that shooting. Oh my goodness. The Nuggets were like 5 of 30 something from the 3-point range, while the Jazz were just raining it down. The Jazz had an almost 50% shooting percentage from 3 in this game. That's just not sustainable. 40% is not sustainable from 3, let alone almost 50. Jazz fans, enjoy the ride while you can, because you will be brought back down to earth more than likely sooner rather than later. Next up, we have the Nuggets took on the Warriors. This game worried me after the first one. We just talked, they had a 20-point loss to an inferior team. Now they're going up against the defending champs, who just put it on the Los Angeles Lakers in their first game. This had all the hallmarks of the Nuggets getting ran out of the building in the Bay Area. But they didn't. Surprisingly enough, the Nuggets went in and actually dominated for the majority of the game. Were able to withstand what just seems to be the rule of 3 with the Warriors. This is something me and my buddy Quinn Thomas have talked about. My co-host from West is Best. He's a Golden State fan. Is that there's something about the rule of 3s with this Golden State Warriors team. I don't know what it is, but between the way they shoot and when they score, if there's not a 3 involved, it seems like they're just not that good. And I'm not saying that the Golden State Warriors are not good. They just won a championship. It's the exact same team that won a championship. This team is legit. I'm not taking anything away from the Warriors. It's just funny to me how it seems their best performances always come from behind the 3 and in the third quarter. Somehow the Nuggets were able to withstand that normal third quarter push from the Warriors. They just always seem to make the perfect adjustments at halftime and come out firing, just throwing a barrage of threes, and they just always seem to hit. Unfortunately for Golden State, but fortunately for Denver fans, that did not happen on Friday night. It was insane to watch the comeback that wasn't. The Warriors almost did. The Nuggets had an 8-point lead going into the last minute of regulation and ended up just barely holding on for a 4-point win at the end. And it was a wild one, folks. Normally, when Golden State gets teams like they had the Nuggets in that last minute, they end up getting that team out of their game. They end up having that team fall into the trap that has been set by Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. It was wonderful to see the Nuggets not fold. They gave up a lot of yards, or not a lot of yards. They gave up a lot of points and stuff, and they were letting the Warriors go up and down the court there in the last minute. It was a 15-5 run at one point within the last minute for the Golden State Warriors over the Nuggets that brought it so close, and they were to within 3 at the closest they got was within 2 within that last minute until Joker found Bruce Brown wide open on a full court pass that ended up putting it back to 4. And then Jokic hit 2 more free throws shortly after that to seal the win. But it got really hairy there. And normally teams choke in that situation against the Warriors. And more than often, the Nuggets of old would have folded in those moments, and they would have made that final mistake that would have lost them the game, and they did it. And they did that after such an embarrassing loss to the Utah Jazz. Was truly heartening to see. This Nuggets team has fight. This Nuggets team has grit. And it is not going to just roll over and allow a team to win just simply because they ran out of gas or the other team wants it more than them. This Nuggets team has fight and it has a dog in them. And I love to see it coming out early in the season, especially on the defensive side, with guys like Christian Brown just being an absolute manimal on the defensive end. Yes, you want to see Brown clean up some of the layup issues that he had on a couple of those first steals that he got, but even he said it in the pregame press or postgame press conference where he was like, "Look, that third one when it finally went in, that was nice, but I was really angry at the fact that I missed 2 before that." So that's a direct quote from him. Most people are just gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just happy that I got my first bucket in the NBA." He wasn't. He wasn't satisfied that he just got a bucket. And then the other quote I loved from Christian Brown was that hustle and intensity are non-negotiable with me. This is what we have been talking about with this kid. He's that one. He's like that Draymond. He's going to be like that Draymond Green. He just gets under your skin because he is always just up in your grill. He's going to poke. He's going to prod. And he doesn't take stupid fouls. I cannot think of one time where I looked at Brown and was just like, he doesn't belong on the court. That rookie belongs. Just the hustle alone on defense makes that rookie belong. And you saw in the Golden State game why he is on the floor already and getting chunks of minutes. This is very reminiscent of what Bones did last year, where he started off with just around 5 to 10 minutes a game to begin about the first couple weeks into the first month. Then about month 2, month 3, those minutes started to increase, and pretty soon he was the first one off the bench whenever the point guards went off or a small forward went off, etc. And that is the pathway that Christian Brown is going to take. And it's going to be sooner rather than later if he continues to play the way that he did against Golden State. Against Golden State. But despite seeing a rookie go off and catch your attention. One other thing that caught a lot of people's attention was the fact that Jamal Murray did not play in this game, and people were worried that he got himself hurt. He had a bit of a scare in the first game where he stepped on, I believe it was Sexton's foot. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember exactly, but it was a Utah Jazz player's foot. He stepped on, tweaked his ankle, hobbled off, and went straight to the locker room. And people were terrified that he had tweaked that ACL again. Well, it doesn't look like that's the case. He did not have an injury designation. He was a veteran's rest day, essentially. It was only the second game of the season. It was back-to-back road games. I think the whole thing was that they wanted to make sure that Jamal Murray was as rested as possible for tonight. That is all that was. It was just Jamal Murray getting as much rest as he could for the home opener tonight. So no big deal. Jamal not being on the floor. Don't worry, guys. Again, no injury designation. Nothing from Malone saying that there was any issues. He is a full go, and he will be back on the court tonight in the Nuggets home opener. I just think, again, it was just a precautionary thing. They wanted to make sure nothing else happened, and that at the very least, he was going to be at as close to 100%, if he's not at 100%, when the Nuggets open up Ball Arena for the first regular season game of the 2022-2023 season. That's all that was. And let me just double check, make sure. Nope, Santiago has not come in yet. So we will go ahead and move on to the next. Nuggets and Thunder are tonight here in about roughly 43 minutes. They should be starting tip-off. The Nuggets D has been a bit Jekyll and Hyde. If y'all haven't noticed, game one, there was almost no defense to speak about. There was no hustle on defense. The softness on the boards was disgusting. It was just a really, really bad look for the Nuggets in game one against the Jazz. That script got completely flipped against the Golden State Warriors. Everybody was hustling. Everybody was on the defensive end, grinding it out. MPJ was getting steals. Christian Brown was getting steals. Bruce Brown was getting steals. Jokic was looking good. Everybody was doing their thing. Aaron Gordon just kept being Aaron Gordon on the defensive end. Everybody did their thing defensively, and that was the difference between game one's loss and game two's win. Plain and simple. Defensive effort. A lot of people want to make jokes about Michael Porter Jr. Playing the best defense of his life on that last possession by Steph Curry. That is so belittling, it's gross. He played with his hair on fire the entire game. There was, yes, some lapses here and there, but the hustle that man has shown on the defensive end this year is night and day from any other point of his career. If he just keeps up this effort, the results will come. The effort is number one. The results follow. And so keep it up, MPJ. Don't let anybody discourage you, say that, oh, you're not doing it. You are doing fine. Keep doing what you're doing, my man. The effort is absolutely top notch, and it is all that any of us can ask for. Same thing with Bones. Bones has had some moments where it's just like, ish, on the defensive end, but there's always hustle. And you will take mistakes that are hustle mistakes. It's the lazy mistakes that you cannot tolerate. So, Denver D, Jekyll Hyde, which one will show up? I do believe that the monsters, the Hydes, show up tonight against the Thunder. There's too much talent. There's too much want to be great on this team for them to allow games like the one against the Jazz to snowball. And that's what I believe you saw last night against the Warriors, and you will see again tonight against the Thunder. Does anyone but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander worry me or anybody? You shouldn't. It shouldn't. Really, outside of Shai, there's nobody else in this club. It's just Club Shay, and everybody else is staying home. Shai is a legit talent. I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want to say he's a superstar at this point, but he definitely has a lot of talent. He can definitely be the number one on a lot of teams. So I don't want to take anything away from him or what he does for the Thunder. But boy, the dearth in talent after you drop off from the number one on a team to the number two when it comes to these two teams, I don't think you could get any bigger of a gap. When it comes from Shea to the rest, it's like this. Shea's way up here where you can't see, and the rest are way down here where you can't see. On the Nuggets, you got Joker, then right below, you got Murray and PJ, then right below, Aaron Gordon, right below, Bruce Brown, etc. So there's levels to this, all right? There are levels to this. The Nuggets have them, the Thunder do not. So why would you worry about anyone other than Shea at this point? Um, so how do I see this one going? Very badly. This is going to be what we thought the Jazz game was going to be. I I believe it'll be more entertaining than what we thought the Jazz game would be. I'm not going to say it's going to be like a 110-70 game like we thought that the Jazz game was going to be, but it is definitely still going to be a definitive Nuggets win. This is their home opener. They want it more. They need it more, and they need to keep the good times rolling off of that Warriors win. So I am going to go ahead and say that the Nuggets will win, and they will win fairly handily. I believe this one is going to be 120-90. Denver wins by 30. That's how I feel this is going to go. If you feel differently, please let us know. We'd love to have that discussion. Love to hear why you believe it may go differently. Whether you're a Nuggets fan, whether you're a Thunder fan, we don't care. We love to have the conversation. Just leave it down in the comments. Go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you decide that is best for you. We are there, and all the links are right down in the description. Just click on them, click the like, click the subscribe or the follow button, and make sure you hit that little bell icon. That way you're notified every time we go live or post a video. Now that that's out of the way, Nuggets, Blazers preview after that. Monday night, have another busy Monday night. It was like last week where you had Nuggets, Avs, and Broncos. This week, there's no Broncos on Monday night, thankfully for most of the NFL, but there is Nuggets and Avs on Monday. This game should be a lot of fun. These are two high-octane offenses with two questionable defenses. We'll leave it at that. Questionable, I think, is a good word to use. The Blazers have had at least two 20-point scores in their first game. In their actual first season opener, the season opening game, they had four guys at 19 plus, three at 20 plus. So they can obviously score and from multiple levels on the floor. Their problem is whether or not they can defend, a lot like the Nuggets, but the Nuggets do have more talent, both offensively and defensively, especially with the moves made in the offseason. So, how do the Nuggets contain this defense? Number one, they have to play dog defense like they did against the Warriors. They had a great game plan. Again, outside of that last minute, I don't know what went haywire, but they were able to salvage it, get the win. So people can consternate and whine about how it happened and how close it was. But a dub is a dub is a dub, in my opinion. So will they be able to? That's a really good question, and one I'm not sure anybody really has an answer to. Of will they? But can they? Yes. Putting, let's see, best pairings. You're going to want AG guarding the power forward for the Blazers. You want Jamal, a healthy Jamal on Dame when he's on the court, and then when he's off, look for a Christian Brown and a Bruce Brown to take on the assignment of a Dame Lillard. And I think all three of those guys have the ability to contain. You're not going to stop Dame time. You're just not going to stop it, but you can contain him. If you can force him into those logo shots, yes, he can make them, but he's not going to make them as consistently as a mid-range jumper or just a normal three-pointer. Yeah, he'll put in about 20 to 30% of those logo shots, but that's a lot better than the 40+% he does from everywhere else. So meeting him high at the key is going to be key, no pun intended. They are going to have to meet him at the top. You can't give Dame cushion. He's just like a Steph Curry. So essentially, yeah, they just got to really attack him the way that they did Steph Curry. MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown, swapping, great communication on the defensive end. There was so many times that it wasn't so much about the talent the Nuggets had on the field. It was just simply their communication and hustle on the defensive side that made the difference. Like the one play where MPJ contested a shot from Clay, flew by him, and then Bruce Brown, right behind him, flew across the court and was able to get a hand in the face of Clay immediately afterwards in that last minute to stop a crucial three-pointer that would have brought the Warriors to within 1 point with over 45 seconds left to play. That type of effort is what is going to be needed, and that type of communication is going to be what's needed, because just like the Warriors, the Blazers love the pick and roll. They don't really. The only person that really does ISO is going to be Dame, but they love the pick and roll. They love using screens, all of those things. So fighting through screens, fighting around screens, and making sure that you are not allowing them to create space for Dame and company is going to be crucial. So essentially copy the game plan you had from Golden State, but this time finish it, because you can't always stave off that last minute comeback bid. Sometimes you're going to give it up. So you just don't allow the comeback bid to start. You ain't got to worry about stifling it. But as I stated, Dame has 20 points in the first game, 41 in his second game. Are the Blazers balanced enough to finally win Dame a championship? I'm going to ask this again when Santiago gets here, but I don't know. I mean, yes, you had the first game where you had 3 guys over 20, 4 guys over 19, and then also a couple of guys on the bench scored between 13 and 15. That shows that there's some balance. But then you have the very next game where only 2 players get over 20. One was Dame Lillard, who had 41. He has a real habit of just taking over games. And while he is that guy and he can do that, typically one-man bands don't work in any team sport, and definitely not in the NBA. That's why you have the phrase, the big three. They don't always have to be a Shaq and Kobe, or a LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, or the Warriors and their super teams, but you got to have at least 3 top tier guys to be consistent contenders. And I'm just not sold that the Blazers have done that. I think they have probably the best team around Dame since he was drafted, but I'm not comfortable enough to say that they're good enough to win a championship as built currently. I can't believe that they are. I think the CJ McCollum trade added a lot of pieces and helped out, but I still believe they're a few pieces away, and they have that same issue the Nuggets have had over the last couple of years. They got plenty of offense. Can they play defense? And I'm just not sure they have the talent and the guys to do so. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Blazers are championship contenders. I believe they're playoff contenders, and beyond the play-in. Like, they're definitely play-in contenders, but I do believe they can snatch one of those higher seeds and avoid the play-in altogether. They have that much talent, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they have enough to actually go out and win a chip. and get that ring. They're just not quite there. And I'm not sure if at this point they ever will, as long as Dame is on that team. And it's sad to say Dame deserves a championship, but Damian Lillard and the Blazers, I just don't think they're destined to win one together. I think Dame will get one somewhere towards the end of his career when he moves on to somewhere else. But as long as he's in Portland, I'm sorry, guys. I just don't see it happening. Not at this point. It's just too late. It's too late in his career. I mean, I know you hate to say that, and there's always a chance something crazy happens, but if he hasn't been able to lure another superstar out to the Pacific Northwest at this point, I don't see how he ever is going to. He's going to have to leave Portland to get that championship. I just don't see them being able to put the team around him in the way that Minnesota has been building their team, or Milwaukee has built their team around Giannis. It just doesn't seem like they have the will or want to actually make the moves necessary to win Dame a championship while he's in Portland. So, with all that being said, predictions for the Blazers and the Nuggets game. This one, I think, will be a bit closer just because Dame is Dame. This is going to be another high-scoring affair, something a lot like the Golden State game, but I don't think it's going to be as nail-biting. It's going to be fun. Like I said, it's going to be close. This one I see coming down to a 130-125 win for the Nuggets. Very high-scoring, very fast-paced, and I think the bench will allow their team to get back into it late in the fourth quarter when there's a huge lead, but the Nuggets are going to be able to pad enough of a lead they're able to sustain that, and maybe this time they can allow Joker to go ahead and sit on the bench and have a little bit of a breather at the end of the game instead of having to go out and put it back in gear and go back full balls to the wall after sitting down for 10, 15 minutes. Sorry, guys. Needed a drink. Losing voice, but let me check on Santiago. Yep. No update yet. Just wanted to double check. Make sure he's just not sitting there where I can't hear him or anything. But let's go ahead and move on. Nuggets, Lakers preview. This is the probably third favorite early matchup for me, behind the Jazz and the Warriors. Seeing the Nuggets go up against AD and LeBron, who have looked really good. They are doing their thing, despite the Lakers 0-2 start and the possibility they could be winless by the time the Nuggets and them face each other on Wednesday. LeBron and AD are doing their thing. LeBron and AD have been averaging 25 plus points and almost a double-double apiece so far through the first couple of games. So they're doing their thing. But how crucial is Russell Westbrook to that team and what they want to do? So many people say that they just need Russ to not get in the way. But I think through the first two games, we've seen that's not the case. AD and LeBron cannot carry this team by themselves against the top teams of the conference, let alone their own division. It's just not possible with the type of talent that is in the West. That's why we created West is Best, be it Quinn, because the West is best. It's just how it is. It's just the rules of the universe. We don't make them. We just abide by them. That's all that it is. Oh, we got a like. Appreciate you. Oh, sorry. Just got a text. Just want to make sure. Okay. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't Santiago. I apologize. But I'm trying to get y'all somebody else in here so y'all can hear a different voice than me. But we're just going to have to be a little bit more patient, I guess. So back to Russell Westbrook, how crucial he is to the Lakers. Very. At this point, it's obvious. They need a third scorer because beyond those three, There's just nobody that scares you. There's nobody. I Off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single guy. I'm just like, you know what? He could go off in this game because he's got a good matchup. There is no good matchups for the Lakers outside of maybe LeBron and MPJ if MPJ is not giving as much effort on the defensive end. That's about the only advantageous matchup I can see. Like, yes, AD and Joker, they're going to get each other. AD's really, really, really good. Joker's really, really, really good. I mean, these are two of the best big men of their generation. One is the best big man, the other one is right there with them. And we all know Jokic is the better one. If you have anything else to say, then you don't belong here and you need to move along. So, LeBron, AD, enough to contend? No. They need Russ to turn back the clock about 5 years. This Lakers season could be ugly. This could be an imploding team as we watch. With, I mean, Patrick Beverly now is grossly trying to be Russ Westbrook's best friend. Like, I don't see how that dynamic is working. They were like, I mean, that's like Superman and Lex Luthor working together, or Spider-Man and the Condor, or I mean, just go down the list. I don't want to go through all of these Marvel comics and DC comics, villain and superhero situations. Batman and Joker. There's my last one. That's probably the best one. That's you just that can't be a thing. And I don't know why the Lakers are trying to force it into being a thing. Nobody wants Russ. Nobody wants that contract. He's an absolute albatross. So unless Russ, like I said, turns the clock about 5 years backwards, this Lakers team is going to be hard to watch. It's not just going to be, I mean, at least in the past, they were fun to watch with some of their other teams that they put out there with the Ingrams and that. They can have their moments. But this team, with the age and the declining play from so many outside of AD and LeBron, not everybody can defeat Father Time the way that LeBron has, and a lot of his teammates are showing why. So, Lakers fans, I love to see it. I know you hate to see it, but I love to see it. And so, this Lakers team could be ugly. Again, predictions at this point. Oh, we got a comment. Hello, appreciate you. I do believe this is another Nuggets win. They start going on a roll at this point. This one, again, I don't think they're going to really blow out the Lakers. The Lakers have enough pride and enough veterans that they're not just going to go in and lay an egg on a consistent basis. So I do see the Nuggets winning this one. This one's going to be a little bit lower scoring because I do think the Nuggets starters end up getting arrested a lot more than they have the first couple of games, and they end up winning 105 to 90. 105 to 90 sounds like 15 points, 10 to 15 points sounds like a good margin of victory for the Nuggets over the Lakers. Starting to wonder. Oh, I just hope that he gets home safe. I don't really care if he shows up or not. Santiago, if you see this, don't worry. We're not tripping. Make it home safe. Hope you had some great times with your grandma on her birthday. If you don't make it, it's not a big deal, my guy. We'll just go ahead and keep pushing through. Final preview of the show. Nuggets and Jazz. The Nuggets get their chance at revenge, and it is in Denver. Their first rematch of the season. What does Denver need to do to avoid another embarrassment? We touched on a lot of these earlier. They have to rebound better. They have to give better effort on the defensive end. They have to shoot better. They got to take better shot selection. I don't want to just say shoot better because that's just arbitrary. Everybody has on and off nights. So I always hate that when pundits are like, oh, you just got to make shots. Like, okay, you go make shots, bro. Like, it's not that simple. Sometimes you have a good shooting night, sometimes you don't. But they have to do better at shot selection. Their first game, there was a lot of bad shots taken, a lot of ill-advised long threes by Bones and Bruce and KCP. The fact that KCP only scored 4 points in the opener was another big red flag, but then turned around and scored 20 points against the Warriors. So if KCP can give those 20 points while still playing the same level of defense, Bruce Brown can give his 15 in D. Christian Brown can go out there and hustle when he's on the floor. Bones can drop his 15 to 20. And then the big four, Jamal, Jokic, MPJ, and Aaron Gordon, all come to play. They will do what we said they would do in game one. So while I'm going out on a limb, I know it didn't work out very well for the Avs when I picked them to win all week last week. We might see about that, what's going on, but the biggest matchup to watch in this one is going to be the center matchup. Jokic versus oh man, I forgot his name. Sorry guys, let me pull it up so I talk about the man respectfully because he did a good job with him and playing Jokic in the first game. Marco. There it is. Markkanen. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't remember that name, but yes, Lauri Markkanen, the center for the Jazz. He had 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in the first game. And then their backup big guy, where's his name? Kessler. There you go. Had 12 points and had a double-double. So if Jokic is able to outperform those two guys and then actually get some stops, stop allowing them to just absolutely maul them on the offensive boards, that was a big issue in the first game between the Nuggets and the Jazz, was the fact that they were just allowing the Jazz to take every I don't want to say every. It seemed like every offensive board, and we're constantly giving up second chance points. And it was some stupid stat like 30% of the Jazz's points in that game, in that first game, were on second chance. That's not acceptable. So being stronger on the boards, especially on the defensive end for the Nuggets, has to be paramount, and contesting more of those 3-pointers. They cannot allow the Jazz to shoot almost 50% from 3. That just can't happen. And that's unsustainable, as we said earlier. So if the Nuggets play defense, come in, fight for it, and want it, they can definitely get revenge for that embarrassing opening night loss. So again, biggest matchup is going to be Jokic and him dominating the center matchup when he's out there, and DeAndre Jordan when he's out there, limiting these two guys. That you cannot give up almost 30 points and 20 rebounds to the defending team's centers and expect to win consistently. That, especially when they're not Shaq or Irving or etc. Or man, I can't think of any. My head. 80. There's another big man that's a good one. KD, Kevin Durant. Any of those guys, you can understand if they get 30 points, especially if you want to throw in their backup. But when you're talking about Markkanen and another guy none of y'all heard about, and they're putting up 30 and 20, that can't happen. So Jokic has to be better defensively, as well as DeAndre Jordan in this one That's the biggest matchup to watch. And if they do, they could be another win. And I hate saying that a team's going to win every game in a week. We all just, again, saw what happened when I picked the Avs to win all week this past week and they ended up losing back to back at home. I don't want to put that same jinx on the Nuggets, but all of these games are more than winnable. They have plenty of time in between them. I know, and this is on the front end of a back-to-back. Now, when we get next week, you'll probably hear me singing a little bit different tune when we're previewing the week after coming up after that. But as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do it. Nuggets beat the Jazz, get their revenge, and this time they get the 20-point win, winning 110-90. That's my final score predictions. Those are all the predictions for the upcoming week. Review for the previous week. Went over a couple of storylines to watch. If there's any that we missed, because I'm sure we got all of them, and none of you have any issue with anything we've said here. Sure, that's not going to happen whatsoever. But just in case you do, make sure you go down in the comments. Go on to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, etc. Leave your comments. Let's have a discussion. Let us know about what you think the biggest matchups are, what biggest storylines you want to hear about and talk about, and we'll be happy to discuss those with you as the weeks and days go along. We're always there. I'm always there. The rest of the guys, Santiago, Dylan, Callie, and girls, I guess I should, put that out there. The rest of the guys and girls will be happy to have those conversations with you as well. So make sure you hit them up. They're all on all of our socials and everything. So make sure, give us something to talk about. We're happy to do it. Make sure you're hitting the likes and subscribes. Hit the bell or the little bell icon so you get our notifications every time we go live and upload videos. Fortunately, it looks like y'all just had me tonight between technical difficulties and life getting in the way. Y'all were just stuck with me. Sorry about that, but I hope I brought you enough entertainment and information to get you through the night. We have Nuggets and Avalanche tonight. Make sure you're checking them out on the altitudes. Again, if you don't know where to get those, hit me up on any of the socials. I'll give you all the ways that you can watch legally. I don't do the illegal thing. I'm not going to point you to websites. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm not your guy, but I will show you how to get to them legally to where you can watch them whenever you want, however you want, on whatever device you want. I'm happy to help direct y'all in those ways. I don't get anything from it other than helping out a fellow Avalanche and Nugget fan enjoy the teams they love to watch. That's literally all I have no sponsorships through these companies whatsoever. I get nothing out of it. This is just simply me being a fan, helping out other fans. So if you need help with that, let me know. I'll give you all of your options. I know all of them and how to get them at the cheapest price. Just let me know, and I'll be happy to tell you. Other than that, as always, for the Nug Life podcast, I'm your host, Dan Wetstein. Hopefully next time you'll also have my co-host Santiago here with us. And for the answer is 42. Don't question the blue.